Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to NFL Primetime. Chris Berman along with Tom Jackson is part 2 of the divisional playoff Primetime. And this round, traditionally, I'm telling you, Tommy, this round traditionally, it's going to be the greatest weekend of football. Half of the games, statistically, are 2 touchdowns or more. And today we had the number 1 seeds getting into action, and we didn't have home teams yesterday do much.
Well, we had the best passing team in football in the St. Louis Rams, the best running team in football in the Pittsburgh Steelers. The big question, 1 versus 4, would they disappoint?
Well, and no snowstorm to equalize things. So let's begin in the AFC, where we had the champion, Baltimore Ravens, who had won the last 3 years in Pittsburgh, 2 before this at Three Rivers, this year at Heinz Field. But the Pittsburgh Steelers had really outgained Baltimore in yards throughout the 2 regular season games split. Rubber game at the big ketchup bottle. And here we go, the first home playoff game ever at Heinz Field, and there will be more. Jerome Bettis, though, hurt before the game, received a pain-killing injection. He could not play, to the chagrin of Bill Cowher. But not to the chagrin of Bill Cowher was that Elvis was in the building. Pressure by Joey Porter. What was the throw? Picked off by Chad Scott. So a minute and a half into the game, Elvis struggling, Pittsburgh defense on top.
You mentioned the pressure by Joey Porter. You see him at the weak side linebacker right here. He comes. A great block right there, but look at him scramble. Great effort. Pressure on Elvis. Ball comes up short. Interception, Chad Scott.
So Brian Billick hoping his defense could do what it did last year and shut everybody down. Famous Amos Zaraway had a big game in Baltimore in Bettis' absence, so he gets the nod. 12 yards after hit by Corey Harris. Oh, an adventure. Chris Brown, who missed 4 field goals in the Steelers' loss earlier this year to Baltimore. Not the prettiest 21-yard field goal, Tom, but it was punched through. And then remember Mike Jones, the Super Bowl hero for the Rams, who stopped Dyson at the 1 2 years ago? Here he is as a Steeler, sacking Elvis Kerback. 3rd and 3, Pittsburgh on offense, Cordell. Plexico Burris out of bounds at the 37. Brian Billick, wrong number. Stewart, then back to work. Looking for Hines Ward at Heinz Field. Over the middle. Hit hard by Corey, but they take the licks, too. Baltimore can lay the lumber, but boy, can Hines Ward take it. Famous Amos Zaraway cookies his way into the end zone, and wrong area code for Billick. 10-0 Steelers.
It's not often that great hustle hurts you defensively. Ray Lewis here with the first hit, following the fullback to the football. Jamie Sharper coming in on the backside, knocks Ray Lewis off the hit. Amos Zaraway into the end zone.
Well, Pittsburgh knew it had to meet force with force, so the little guys come off for Baltimore. Then with the Ravens driving late in the first, Joey Porter, Jason Gilden showing blitz. They back off, and Brent Alexander is there as Kerback throws it across the middle. Another ill-advised toss.
Kendrell Bell with the pressure between the guard and center gap. Look at him. He gets blocked again. Great effort by these linebackers. Gets up, ball tip, interception in the end zone. Lost opportunity for the Ravens.
So now here we go in the first play of the second quarter. I want you to watch Dan Kreider from New Hampshire allegedly pancake Ray Lewis on this run by Zaraway of 8 yards. Then the big rush from the sack leader in the AFC, Peter Boulware. But booyah, misses. Tony Siragusa, yikes, can't quite get Cordell Stewart, the greatest 4-yard run in the history of the NFL. That sets up, well, let's see, we've had a knuckleball right by Chris Brown. Here's a field goal. Oh, man, that's high left. The stroke is just not close. Bill Cowher, though, has stayed with him, very loyal. Maybe he'll turn it around. Ravens punt next possession. Troy Edwards jukes, then up the middle, then slides back to the near side into Ravens territory. Eventually, 1st and goal at the 10. Cordell, and I want you to watch Hines Ward. Man, Tommy, how does he make this?
Toughest group of receivers in the league, and this is the toughest of their receiving core. Hines Ward, the fingertip catch, grabs the back of the football, knowing he's going to take a hit from the safety.
Hines with a little relish at Heinz Field, and then famous Amos Zaraway. Again, good cookies, good dive. 70-0 Pittsburgh. Third quarter, the best weapon Baltimore has is their punt returner. He's a special player, Jermaine Lewis. And he takes it at his own 12, looks to one side, and then whoop! And then just hits the seam. And I don't think Josh Miller's going to get him. He could go all the way. If they could just return punts all day long, they would really move the ball. 20-10, now Baltimore within 10. longest punt return in postseason history. Dan, a pitch to Chris Wilmatu. Bad Mafala. But I'm talking about Fowler. Can you dig it? Boy, we're a little off. The Ravens do that to everybody. They lull you to sleep. They hit right. Rod Woodson and Zaraway gets the first. We missed our gig. Stewart to Plexico first. Stiff-arming Rod Woodson. Man, with a physical, the Pittsburgh Steelers. 27-10. 5 minutes left. Gerback. Oh, he's caught in a trap. He can't walk out. Brent Alexander, his second pick of the day. And so it was Pittsburgh this time with the defense. It was Pittsburgh this time moving on in the playoffs. And the Goose ends his career. Bill Cowher says we got 2 to go. So the Steelers, who really, you know, the Bengals lost, they would have had to win 12 in a row if you think about it. So they had a loss late in the year to the Bengals. Now they're trying to win their last regular season game. 3 more. That's a little bit easier. So what about before the game? Bettis is supposed to come back first time in 2 months, but famous Amos Zaraway, they tell him, you're starting. Not too bad, young man.
Division rivals, Super Bowl champs, you know, the whole 9 yards. You know, they've been talking all week. So we just kind of took that and ran with it. I mean, we realized that, hey, the road to the Super Bowl comes to the Burgh. And they came in here and got their butts kicked. You know what I'm saying? Now we got to take care of them New England Patriots.
We were prepared, and as painful as it is to say this, they have a better football team than what we got. And tragically, it took them. And I've always said this, when you have deficiencies, if you get to the playoffs, they will get exploited. And everybody saw what we need to improve and where we need to improve. I'm just going to take some time off. I really have to do some soul searching because right now, I'm a very, very frustrated man, very.
These moments right now, you know, I'm cherishing more than anything else in the world, and just having this opportunity to get where we want to go, it's making it that much more sweet.
Every time you see the Pittsburgh and Baltimore Ravens in a head-to-head matchup, you look and see whose defense playing the best defense. And it's 3 times, it's the 3rd meeting. And the first time they had 180 yards, second time 170, this time 150. So, boom, I definitely want y'all to give the Big Nasty D some credit after you get a highlight tonight. Definitely give us some credit.
There you go. Joey Porter and the Steelers defense, they've got the last word. Back to you guys.
And Joey, Tommy, hey, you ask, you shall receive.
Yes.
I mean, Baltimore did win one of those 3 games, but Pittsburgh just had their number really statistically in all 3, 41, 19, whatever stat you look at, Tommy. And Pittsburgh, if they go all the way, they'll know that they also beat the defending champs, and that's a pretty good feather to have in your quiver.
Well, this for Joey. You have the #1 rush defense in football, and I thought that's where domination of this game began. Last week, the Baltimore Ravens ran for 226 yards on 50 carries. Today, it was 22 yards on 11 carries, so they made them a one-dimensional football team. They are the #1 running team in football, so they know how to take it to the other team's defense. They've done that to Baltimore every time they played them this year. What a marvelous story Cordell Stewart has been, his maturation along with Plexico Burris, Hines Ward, and that receiving core. This team is also the most physical in all areas. When you look at all areas, the most physical football team in the National Football League.
Hey, Baltimore had a great run last year with their defense. This was a different year, and Shannon said it. Pittsburgh, among others, were better than them. They tried to lull you to sleep. They even got the president to faint last week watching their game. Well, we wouldn't watch it this week, and an impressive job by Pittsburgh without Jerome Bettis. Will he be ready next week against New England, which is the early game? What about today, Jerome?
It was a freak accident, you know, something that should have never happened. There's nothing where I got the shot at. There was no nerves or anything that would have affected that. Just it was something that was crazy to happen, and my leg went down. In retrospect, I probably shouldn't have done it because I didn't really need it to the point where it would have affected me playing. It was a situation with pain that I have to deal with. The injury is, for all intents and purposes, healed, but there's a pain threshold that I have to deal with.
I will see if he's ready next week to face the Pats, but they certainly were ready as we go inside the numbers to play Baltimore. Here's Joey Porter talk about it. Look at this, 1,121 yards to 540 yards. I mean, they emphatically made their case. That's why the Steelers are moving on, and the champion Ravens are moving out. When we return, defense And now, MVP Super Bowl winners Brett Favre, Kurt Warner going head-to-head. The Rams 14-2 against the Green Bay Packers. And very early on, Brett in a dome. Oh, my God. Aeneas Williams. I mean, we're not even in our seats. And it's a touchdown. 7-0 St. Louis by the defense.
Billy Schrader, Brett Favre not on the same page. The safety, Kim Herring, comes up. Looks like a blitz to Brett Favre. Looking for the blitz read by Bill Schrader. Aeneas Williams reads it. The wide receiver doesn't. 7-0 Rams.
Amon Green going right. He's got a pretty good game. And Kim Pickled Herring hits him. It's a foul. Adam Archuleta recovers. First quarter, 2 turnovers. Wait a minute. Aren't the Rams supposed to do that? So here's St. Louis, which really wasn't unbelievably in sync in offense, certainly in the first half, Tom. And Darren Sharper, number 42, picks it off. So we got 3 turnovers in the first 10 minutes of this game. Next play, packing their own 35. And Favre to his fast man, Corey Bradford. And that's a 27-yard pickup, and Favre saw him float on the AstroTurf.
Yeah, Drake line in the middle of the field looking for coverage. We've seen this 2 times in the divisional round of the playoffs. Has a chance to throw the ball to Bradford and leads him nicely down the field, maximizes the yardage again. Uncovered wide receiver.
Later in the drive, Favre to Freeman makes the move, and yes, he's in the end zone. Here come the Packers. Back. We're tied at 7. Here come the Rams. Marshall. Great move on Billy Jenkins. My God. You see on the piece this morning, he says, I expect the first guy to miss, but we expect the first 3 guys to miss. 38-yard pickup for Marshall Faulk. Then down to the 4, Warner. Quick slant to Torrey Holt, 14-7, St. Louis. Later on in the first play of the second quarter. Packers on their own 35, Favre across the middle, and he's pickled by Herring. And here comes Herring. Raven last year, Ram this year. Boy, he may have the ticket, huh? All the way down to the 4-yard line before he's finally out of bounds. And then after first down goes nowhere on second down, Warner to fullback James Hodgins. 4 yards, 21-7 Rams. Ensuing kickoff. You saw Jermaine Lewis do it. Here's Allen Rossum playing Rossum. Wilkins, you saw the flag. He could go all the way, but they could bring this all the way back.
Yeah, you take another look at this. The Packers, Torrance Marshall, and the Rams, Robert Holcomb, get tied up. You saw there the whole call by the official, and look at the disappointment on Rossum.
So now we're early third, 24-10, still a game. Aeneas Williams rips the ball away from Antonio Freeman, and Aeneas is going to score what he thinks is his second touchdown of the game. It's a challenge and a smart one by Green Bay, but a great play by Aeneas to get the ball, Tom.
What a positive impact Aeneas Williams has had on this defense. They are the number 2 defense in the league. Great job right here, stripping the ball from Antonio Freeman. Look at it in slow motion. Got control. Good call by the official right there, down by contact.
So now the Rams in business, though. They get the ball, but no touchdown on their own 43, Warner. How about this? These are the Rams. Oh, man, the Torrey Holt between a pair of Packers. What a catch, what a throw.
Nobody does it better. Look where Kurt Warner puts the football, and look at the concentration from Torrey Holt.
7 yards, touchdown, 31-10. I think you know where this game is going. Later on in the third, it would get ugly for one of the great performers in the history of the game at quarterback Brett Favre. Grant Wistrom's had a big year. Tips the ball on the line. Tommy Polley. He wants a touchdown. Polley wants a touchdown. 34 yards. Another defensive score for the Rams, 38-10. Then Favre in the fourth. Off the hands of Green. Aeneas Williams gets the block, and he's gone. The first player ever to return 2 interceptions in the postseason for touchdown. 6 picks for Favre. Kurt Warner and the Rams moving on. My God, the defense scored 3 times. The offense did the rest. 45-17. The St. Louis Rams slice and dice the Green Bay Packers. 8 turnover by the Packers. We told you that Aeneas is in the record book as his 2 interceptions for a touchdown as a postseason record. Nobody had ever done it twice. Mortimer with Aeneas Williams.
Your first interception, can you just describe what happened there and how it got your team off to the great start?
Well, the key is being a defense. We want to disguise and do different things, and we know this is a rhythm offense. They like to get rid of the ball fast, and was able to get a good read and break on the ball before the receiver did.
A lot of tip passes for Brett Favre. Was that something you guys thought you could do too?
No, we knew we could make plays, Joe. We knew we played fast, and when you get tip balls, you get interceptions like that, it's because you got guys flying around. You look at the film, it's going to look like there are 13 guys on defense, and that's the way we play ball.
And people don't actually realize that. Now, Brett Favre this week, Donovan McNabb next week. You used to play in the NFC East with the Arizona Cardinals. You know McNabb. What can you tell your teammates about him?
Well, the good thing, we had a great game, the first game of the season, and maybe that was a show of things to come. It's going to be a great game. Obviously, we have to do some things to keep McNabb in the pocket, and we have to tackle well like we did today.
All right, Boomer, back to you.
Mortimer, Aeneas, thank you very much. So that's the late game now. The St. Louis Rams off of a big opening performance at home against the Philadelphia Eagles late on next Sunday. The Rams must wonder sometimes, what would it be like to play us? The team that turns the ball over a lot of times. My God, today they forced him, and Brett, just in a dome, we love him. He's just goofy in domes.
I love the intensity of the Rams defense as they started that football game today. They came out swarming around the football. They played hard in their coverage. They caught the ball when they had a chance. I thought that they expected Brett Favre to make a couple of throws where they'd have a chance to get the turnovers, but you can't turn the ball over against a football team that turned it over, the Rams, more than any other team in the league. And then I think defensively, this is the time of year now as we move on into the championship round, you bring your defense. The number 1 defense, Pittsburgh, the number 2 defense, the Rams. And I think it's atrocious that those two teams only have defensively 1 Pro Bowler apiece. You look at that, I think they both feel they have something to prove.
Yeah, but they may have 11 Super Bowlers.
That's correct.
Marv Levy always told me, I don't care about Pro Bowl players. I want Super Bowl players. Well, those two teams that you talked about off of today, just one step away. And as for Brett Favre, hey, look, he carried this team on his back, but right away you could see it was just another one of those days for him. A tough performance by the NFC North teams. I mean, Green Bay, Chicago, and Tampa Bay exiting the playoffs with thuds. Not the way they want to go out. Not at all. Rams defense still doing it, and Brett Favre, not the way you want to get in the record book. 6 interception ties, the most interceptions thrown in a postseason game. Here's the good news. 2 of the other 3 guys, Bobby Lane, Norm Van Brocklin, in the Hall of Fame. Because you got to throw them to be great. Favre, Pilchak, Lane, Van Brocklin. Whoops.
Respect Chad Lewis. Here comes the blitz. Here comes the blitz. And McNabb fires high. Incomplete. Intended for Freddie Mitchell.
They brought Adam Archuleta in, and Deuce Staley, we talked about the things that Deuce Staley can do. He can run and he can catch, and he can also block. And he really picked up Adam Archuleta. As a matter of fact, he put him right on his back. Oh, this can be it.
Here's your trip to New Orleans. They make the first, the Eagles stay alive. They don't. The Rams and the Patriots. McNabb drops. Here comes the blitz again. McNabb drops away from it. And throws, passes, intercepted by Aeneas Williams.